Imagine you are standing in front of a vast, still lake at dawn. The air is crisp, the water is like glass. And as you gently toss a small pebble into its depths, ripples expand outward in perfect circles. Now, consider this. What if your every thought, every emotion, every belief were like that pebble, sending unseen ripples across the fabric of reality? What if, without realizing it, you were shaping the world around you not through sheer will, but through the energy you carry within? For centuries, philosophers and mystics have spoken of a universe that responds to human intention. A cosmos not governed solely by blind chance but by deep, underlying principles of connection and resonance. Today, modern science is beginning to confirm what ancient wisdom has long suggested: everything, every person, every object, every idea is energy vibrating at a particular frequency. This is not mere metaphor, it is physics. Quantum mechanics tells us that particles behave differently when observed, that the act of looking, of engaging with reality, changes the outcome. The famous double-slit experiment, first conducted in 1801 by Thomas Young, and later refined by quantum physicists, revealed a startling truth. When electrons are not observed, they behave like waves, existing in many places at once. But the moment they are watched, they behave like solid particles, as if reality itself shifts in response to attention. This means that the world is not just passively existing outside of you, it is engaged in a constant dance with your awareness. And that dance is not dictated by your fleeting thoughts or momentary desires, but by something deeper: the energy you consistently project. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract the same experiences over and over? The friend who always encounters rude people, the relative who struggles financially no matter how hard they work, the neighbor who always has good luck. These are not random events. These are echoes, reflections of inner beliefs being broadcast outward, shaping external reality. This is not to say that misfortune or hardship is always self-created. Life is complex, and we exist in a world of many interwoven energies. But just as a radio must be tuned to the right frequency to receive a particular station, so too must your mind and emotions be aligned with the reality you wish to experience. Neuroscientists have found that the human brain has something called the reticular activating system, RAS, a network of neurons that filters the vast amount of information we encounter daily. It determines what we notice and what we ignore based on what we have trained our minds to focus on. If you constantly expect disappointment, your brain literally becomes wired to look for it. If you believe opportunities are everywhere, you begin to spot them where others do not. This is not wishful thinking. It is the result of the brain's remarkable plasticity, its ability to rewire itself based on repeated thoughts and emotions. Take, for example, the placebo effect. Studies show that patients who believe they are receiving effective treatment, even when given a sugar pill, often experience real physiological improvements. Why? Because belief itself triggers biochemical changes in the body. The brain releases neurotransmitters, alters immune function, and even changes pain perception, all based on the expectation of healing. If the mind can influence something as concrete as the body's healing process, how much more might it shape the course of one's life? Now, let's bring this down to a practical level. What does this mean for you? Here and now? It means that the way you engage with the world, the thoughts you entertain, the emotions you dwell in, the perspectives you adopt are not just private experiences, they are creative forces shaping your reality. The good news is, no matter how old you are, no matter what your past has been, you can shift these patterns. The brain retains its ability to change throughout life, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. You are not a fixed entity, you are fluid, capable of transformation at any moment. So how do you begin? First, become aware of the patterns in your life. Ask yourself, what situations seem to repeat? What emotions do I experience most often? Then, instead of merely reacting to life, begin to direct it by shifting your internal state. Start small each morning. Before even getting out of bed, take a deep breath and think of one thing you are genuinely grateful for. This simple act begins to rewire the brain for positivity. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, pause and ask, what is another way to look at this? You do not need to force positivity. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. Rather, it is about becoming conscious of the energy you are projecting and making small but deliberate shifts. Imagine that you are a tuning fork. vibrating at a certain frequency. If you wish to attract peace, you must resonate with peace. If you seek love, you must first embody love. And if you desire abundance, you must let go of scarcity thinking and begin to see the wealth of possibilities that already exist around you. This is not just philosophy, it is a practice, a way of living. Just as a musician refines their craft, just as an athlete strengthens their body, you too can train your mind to become a clearer channel for the life you wish to experience. The universe is always responding, always reflecting back the energy you send out. The question is, what are you broadcasting? Imagine walking into a room filled with music, but instead of hearing a clear melody, you only catch fragments of sound, distorted and broken by static. The song is playing in full, but unless you adjust the dial on the radio, you cannot hear it properly. This is exactly how the universe communicates with us, continuously sending signals, messages, and guidance, but most people are so caught up in the noise of their own minds that they fail to tune in. They assume that if answers don't come in the form of a booming voice from the sky, they don't exist. But the universe doesn't speak in words, it speaks in vibration. In synchronicities, in the unfolding of events that often only make sense in hindsight. Science has long confirmed that we exist in a sea of information and energy. Physicists describe the universe as a vast quantum field, where everything is interconnected. The famous physicist John Wheeler suggested that reality is not merely a passive backdrop but is actively influenced by our participation. This idea echoes what spiritual traditions have taught for thousands of years. Reality is a mirror, reflecting not just what we think, but what we are, and just like a mirror, it responds not to wishes but to presence. Think back to moments in your life when you felt a sudden intuition, perhaps a feeling that you should call an old friend, only to find they desperately needed to hear from you. Or maybe you had a strong gut feeling about a decision, ignored it, and later regretted it. These moments are not coincidences. They are examples of the universe communicating through your intuition, your internal guidance system. Neuroscientists have discovered that the human brain processes far more information than we are consciously aware of. Studies on the somatic marker hypothesis by Antonio Damasio reveal that our body picks up subtle cues from the environment and sends signals through gut feelings long before the rational mind can catch up. What we call intuition is often the result of the brain rapidly recognizing patterns and sending warnings or confirmations through emotions. Beyond intuition, the universe also speaks through synchronicity, the seemingly random events that align so perfectly that they defy explanation. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, coined the term synchronicity to describe meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect alone. Imagine repeatedly seeing the same number, hearing a specific phrase from different people on the same day, or stumbling upon a book that answers a question you've been silently asking. These are not accidents, they are part of a greater dialogue. A study published in Frontiers in Psychology found that individuals who are more open to recognizing patterns in life tend to experience more synchronistic events. The key, then, is not whether the universe is speaking, but whether we are listening. The problem is that most people expect messages to arrive in the way they want, rather than in the way they need. They ask for guidance but dismiss the answer when it comes in an unexpected form. Perhaps they pray for a new opportunity but fail to recognize it because it requires them to step outside their comfort zone. Perhaps they seek healing but resist the very emotional work required for transformation. The universe rarely hands us answers wrapped in shiny packaging. More often, it nudges us, challenges us, and whispers in ways that require patience and trust. If you want to begin hearing the universe more clearly, the first step is to cultivate presence. Our modern world is designed to keep us distracted. Constant noise, endless notifications, a mind that races from past regrets to future worries. Yet, the universe only speaks in the now. Practices like meditation are not just spiritual exercises, they are tools to sharpen awareness. A study from Harvard University found that just 8 weeks of mindfulness meditation increased gray matter density in areas of the brain associated with self-awareness and emotional regulation. This means that the more present you become, the more attuned you are to recognizing the messages around you. Another way to refine your ability to listen is to start tracking patterns. Keep a small journal where you write down odd coincidences, strong gut feelings, or repetitive signs that appear in your life. Over time, You may notice connections that seemed invisible before. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza has written extensively on how focused attention and intention shape neural pathways, reinforcing the idea that what we look for, we find more of. The more you recognize how the universe communicates, the stronger the connection becomes. Most importantly, trust. Trust that not every answer comes immediately, and that sometimes, silence itself is a response. The universe is not withholding, it is aligning. If you feel stuck, if your prayers seem unanswered, consider that perhaps you are being given time to shift into a new version of yourself, one that is capable of receiving what you've been asking for. The timing of the universe is not measured by clocks but by readiness. The moment you stop demanding and start listening, the answers begin to unfold. So, adjust the dial, clear the static, and remember, the song has always been playing. Are you finally ready to hear it? Picture a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. To the untrained eye, it is just a solid, lifeless stone, but to the sculptor, there is already a masterpiece hidden within. With each deliberate strike of the chisel, rough edges fall away, and something remarkable begins to emerge. This is not blind chance. It is conscious creation, and just as the sculptor shapes the stone with intention, you shape your reality with your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Whether you realize it or not, you are always sculpting, always sending signals to the universe that determine what takes form in your life. Many people believe that life happens to them, that they are passive observers caught in an unpredictable current. But modern science tells us otherwise. Neuroscientists have discovered that the human brain operates on something called neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire itself based on repeated thought patterns and behaviors. In a landmark study conducted at Harvard Medical School, researchers found that simply imagining practicing the piano activated the same neural pathways as physically playing the instrument. The mind does not distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. This means that your thoughts are not just fleeting, harmless musings, they are sculpting tools, actively carving the landscape of your future. But thought alone is not enough. If it were, we would all have everything we ever desired just by wishing for it. The universe does not respond to empty words or fleeting daydreams, it responds to the energy behind them. You can say, "I am healthy," but if you live in a constant state of stress, worry, and self-doubt, your body will continue to mirror those inner tensions. You can repeat affirmations about abundance, but if deep down you believe that money is hard to earn or that you are undeserving of wealth, your reality will reflect that belief. This is why so many people feel frustrated when they try to manifest their desires. They focus on what they want without shifting who they are. Quantum physics provides us with a striking parallel. In what is known as the observer effect, scientists have found that subatomic particles behave differently when they are being observed. At the smallest level of existence, reality does not unfold independently of the observer, it responds to attention, to focus, to intention. This suggests that the way we engage with the world shapes the form it takes. But intention alone is not enough. A radio does not simply wish to play music, it must be tuned to the correct frequency. Likewise, if your inner state, your thoughts, emotions, and subconscious beliefs is not aligned with what you wish to create, the signal remains distorted. So how do you tune yourself to the right frequency? How do you become a conscious creator rather than an unconscious reactor? The first step is clarity. Most people live in a fog of vague desires and contradictions. They say they want peace, but they fill their days with stress. They seek love but carry unresolved wounds. The universe cannot deliver a clear signal when the transmission is mixed. Begin by asking yourself, what do I truly want? Not what I think I should want. Not what others expect of me. But what resonates deeply with my soul. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Make it concrete. The second step is alignment. Neuroscientists have found that the brain cannot hold conflicting beliefs without discomfort, a phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance. If you say, "I am confident," but you carry years of self-doubt, your subconscious will resist the new belief. The key is to bridge the gap by taking small, consistent actions that reinforce the new identity. If you want to embody health, start moving your body, even if only for 5 minutes a day. If you want to attract deeper relationships, begin by practicing kindness with strangers. These small shifts send powerful signals to the subconscious, proving that change is not just possible but inevitable. The third step is feeling. Science has shown that emotions amplify thought energy. In a study conducted by the Harmath Institute, researchers discovered that the heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body. More astonishingly, the frequency of emotions like love, gratitude, and joy create coherent, harmonious patterns, while fear and anxiety produce chaotic, disordered energy. This means that when you truly feel as if your desired reality is already unfolding when you cultivate the emotions associated with success, health, or love, you generate a powerful energetic signal that the universe cannot ignore. The final step is action. Too many people wait for signs before they move, not realizing that movement itself generates signs. A river does not wait for permission to flow, it carves its own path. If you want to communicate with the universe, stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start living as if it already is. If you desire a new opportunity, begin preparing for it today. If you seek transformation, act as though it has already begun. The universe responds not to hesitation but to boldness. And so, the question is not whether you are communicating with the universe. You already are. The question is, are you doing it consciously or unconsciously? Are you sculpting with purpose? Or are you letting the hammer swing wildly, hoping something beautiful emerges by accident? You are not merely a spectator in this grand unfolding of life, you are the artist, the architect, the creator. And the moment you realize that, the moment you take ownership of that power, is the moment everything begins to change. The marble is in your hands. What will you create? Imagine standing at the edge of a river, watching the water flow effortlessly around rocks and bends, never resisting, never stopping, always moving forward with quiet certainty. Now, imagine trying to control that river, grasping at the water, forcing it to change direction, demanding that it flow according to your will. The more you struggle, the more chaotic the water becomes, slipping through your fingers no matter how tightly you try to hold on. This is how most people approach life. They push, they force, they resist, convinced that only through effort and control can they shape their reality. But the greatest paradox is this: the more you chase something, the more it eludes you. The tighter you grip, the more fragile things become. The moment you let go, the current carries you exactly where you need to be. Surrender is often misunderstood. To many, it sounds like giving up, as if releasing control means becoming passive or indifferent. But true surrender is not about resignation, it is about alignment. It is about recognizing that the universe operates through laws far greater than our individual desires, and that forcing an outcome often blocks the very thing we seek. Modern neuroscience provides insight into why this happens. When we are in a state of stress or desperation, the brain activates the amygdala, the part responsible for fear and survival instincts. This triggers the fight or flight response, flooding the body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. In this state, we become tunnel-visioned, unable to see solutions, unable to recognize opportunities that might already be present. Studies from Harvard Medical School have shown that chronic stress impairs cognitive flexibility, the brain's ability to adapt, to make connections, to see new possibilities. In contrast, when we shift into a state of trust, relaxation, and openness, the prefrontal cortex, the center of higher reasoning and problem-solving, activates, allowing us to approach life with clarity, creativity, and intuition. Look back on your own life. Think of the times when something seemed impossible, yet the moment you stopped obsessing over it, the answer appeared effortlessly. Perhaps you were looking for a lost item, searching frantically, only to find it the moment you gave up. Or maybe you were struggling with a difficult decision, turning it over in your mind again and again, until finally, you let go and suddenly, the right path became clear. This is not mere coincidence. It is a shift in frequency. The moment you stop resisting, the moment you relax into trust, your energy changes, and because energy interacts with energy, reality begins to reflect that shift. But surrender does not mean passivity. It does not mean sitting back and waiting for life to happen to you. It means acting with intention but releasing the need to control every step of the process. A farmer does not stand over his crops demanding that they grow faster. He plants the seeds, nurtures them, and allows nature to take its course. In the same way, you must set your intentions, take inspired action, and then trust in the unfolding. This is where so many people struggle. They believe that if they are not constantly pushing, if they are not constantly doing, they are failing. But doing is not the same as creating. Creation requires space. Just as music is not just sound but also silence between the notes. Just as breath requires both inhalation and exhalation, life requires both action and surrender. Science supports this balance. Research in positive psychology has shown that people who practice acceptance and detachment experience greater emotional well-being and success. In a study published in the Journal of Happiness Studies, individuals who set goals but remained flexible in how they achieved them reported higher satisfaction and resilience compared to those who rigidly pursued a single path. This suggests that the most effective way to bring something into reality is not through relentless control, but through a dance of focused intention and open receptivity. But how do you practice surrender in real life? Begin by noticing where you are resisting. Ask yourself, what am I holding onto too tightly? What outcome am I desperately trying to force? The first step in letting go is awareness. Once you recognize where resistance exists, consciously shift your approach. Instead of asking, how can I make this happen? Ask, how can I align with this? Instead of constantly checking for results, trust that the process is unfolding, even when you cannot yet see it. If you find yourself consumed by worry or impatience, take a breath literally. Deep, intentional breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the stress response and brings the body back into balance. Techniques such as meditation, journaling, or simply taking a walk in nature can help reset your energy, creating the space needed for clarity and insight to emerge. Above all, shift from scarcity to trust. Many people operate from the belief that if they do not control things, they will lose everything. But consider this. The sun rises each day without you forcing it. Your heart beats without your conscious effort. There is an intelligence at work in the universe far beyond what the human mind can grasp. Trust in that intelligence. Trust that life is not happening to you but through you. The more you practice this, the more you will see that the universe is not withholding, it is aligning. And when you finally let go of the need to force, to struggle, to chase, you will find that everything you have been seeking has been flowing toward you all along. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the person you have always believed yourself to be, the habits you have formed, the stories you have repeated, the limitations you have accepted is not a fixed identity but a role you have been playing. What if you could step into a new version of yourself? Not by force, not by wishful thinking, but by embodying the very energy of the life you desire? This is the difference between hoping and knowing, between wanting and being. Most people spend their lives trying to attract what they want, not realizing that the universe does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. If you desire health but identify as someone who is constantly struggling, your subconscious will resist healing. If you seek abundance but see yourself as someone who never has enough, your external reality will continue to reflect that belief. The key to transformation is not in waiting for the world to change but in changing the way you show up in the world. Science has shown us that identity is not fixed. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, proves that who you are today is not who you have to be tomorrow. Dr. Carol Dweck, a Stanford psychologist, coined the term growth mindset to describe how beliefs about ourselves shape our potential. In studies, those who saw their abilities as flexible were far more likely to succeed than those who believed their intelligence, talents, or circumstances were set in stone. This means that the way you define yourself, whether consciously or unconsciously, is the most powerful force shaping your reality. If you see yourself as weak, your body will respond accordingly. If you view yourself as unlucky, your mind will filter experiences to confirm that belief. This is not superstition, it is psychology. The reticular activating system, RAS, in the brain acts as a filter, amplifying what you focus on. If you expect obstacles, you will notice every roadblock. If you expect opportunities, your brain will attune itself to finding them. But knowing this is not enough. You must embody it. The difference between those who transform their lives and those who remain stuck is not intelligence or luck, it is embodiment. Olympic athletes do not merely hope to win, they train. They think. They become champions before they ever step onto the field. This is why visualization is so powerful. Studies conducted at the Cleveland Clinic found that participants who merely imagined exercising increased their muscle strength by up to 13% simply through focused mental rehearsal. The brain does not distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. which means that the identity you mentally and emotionally embody begins shaping your external reality. If you see yourself as someone who thrives, who is strong, who is deeply connected to life, your actions and energy begin to align with that vision. And once that alignment happens, the universe has no choice but to reflect it back. So how do you begin this process? First, redefine yourself. Stop speaking in ways that reinforce limitation. Instead of saying, "I've never been good with technology," say, "I am learning and adapting every day." Instead of declaring, "I'm too old for this," say, "I am evolving with time." Words shape perception, and perception shapes reality. Next, practice living as if. If you desire vitality, move your body in ways that express health, even if it's just standing taller or breathing more deeply. If you desire joy, begin to engage with life as if joy were already present. Smile at strangers. Savor a meal. Appreciate a sunset. These small shifts send powerful signals to your subconscious that a new reality is unfolding. Most importantly, trust the process. Many people sabotage their transformation because they expect immediate results. They meditate for a day, repeat affirmations for a week, and when nothing changes overnight, they return to their old patterns. But identity shifts take time. Just as a seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, your new self-concept must be nurtured. Neuroscience tells us that habits take an average of 66 days to become automatic. This means that patience and consistency are not just virtues, they are necessities. Every time you consciously act in alignment with your desired self, you strengthen the neural pathways that make that identity real. Look at your life today. What patterns do you see? What stories have you been telling yourself? If your reality does not match what you desire, the answer is not to fight the external world but to shift your internal state. You do not need permission to change. You do not need external validation. The moment you decide that you are the person who experiences fulfillment, peace, success, or love, the world around you will begin reorganizing to match that frequency. The universe is always listening, but it does not respond to words alone, it responds to who you are. So, who will you choose to be?